So this story is called The Trip. Vera calls Amber over to the telephone with chips on her nails. She has been nibbling to calm herself over the nerve string that was broken when she was invited to Heather's house to celebrate the engagement with long-time beau Seth. Vera sweats as she jiggles a leg while her mind suffers a lapse. Pick up the phone, Amber, please, Vera. However, it takes 3 more rings before Amber bothers to pick up the phone. Finally, gasps Vera. What have you been doing this morning? Out for a run? Yes, tells Amber in lie. I always exercise in the morning. I never exercise in the mornings, tells Vera as she smiles at the pillows that lay across the bed, an invitation to a lovely rest she has yet to take. Why did you call? Asks Amber as she raises her brows. I was invited to Heather's home, gasps Vera. She is holding an engagement party. She is getting married in a week. Oh, mutters Amber as she looks up to her nails and begins to grate them against one another. That's great, she mutters in weak tone. So you are going to come with me, tells Vera as she stares at a photo of herself that hangs on her wall nearby. I'd really love to, Vera, but I'm going to be busy this weekend, tells Amber as she knots her truth tongue under her teeth. I know, gasps Vera. You're going to come to Heather's home with me, she tells. I can't, mutters Amber as she rolls her eyes. Go alone, she advises. I can't, gasps Vera as she clutches the telephone cord. Come with me, she urges, please. Amber wrinkles her nose and hesitates. She wants to be Vera's friend and go to Heather's home with her, but her insides squirm over the idea of traveling to a destination she would rather not go. I don't want to, tells Amber as she draws in a quick breath. Take Paula, she mutters to get Vera's attention off herself. I don't want to go with Paula. I want to go with you, gasps Vera. Please. You are my best friend, she mutters. Amber shivers inside of her skin as her mind tosses upon itself. She feels as though she has AIDS all of a sudden, and her lips grow cold. Amber rolls her eyes and looks to the calendar to see that she has done nothing but sit inside of the house for 5 whole days. Okay, mutters Amber, but only for the weekend, she adds. Thank you so much, gasps Vera. I'll arrange a plane ticket, she tells before she puts down the phone. Vera and Amber take the plane across the state, and then they hop on a bus to head towards Heather's house. Amber listens to Vera as she talks about the small memories she has of Heather and Seth. However, her nerves don't quite settle. They worm inside of her intestines and knot. She needs to swallow hard as the bus stops 1 block away from Heather's house. We are here, gasps Vera as she grabs her purse and slips out of her seat. Amber follows, and sadly she picks up her luggage from the cabin of the bus. Together, Vera and Amber head towards the house with heels clicking. It takes 10 minutes, but after a short time they arrive. Here we are, cheers Vera before she rings the doorbell. Amber slips to the side to tuck herself under a dark shadow. However, it only proves brief disguise before the front door opens and allows a blast of light to ward all shadows away. Vera cheers as she sees Heather, and she moves to hug Heather in a friendly manner. Amber follows, however, she only offers Heather a subtle hug to go with her feelings of discontent over moving inside of a place she never wanted to return to. I've got chicken in the oven, cheers Heather before she heads her guest towards the kitchen. Oh great, I'm starved, cheers Vera as she rubs her belly. Where is Seth? Asks Vera as she raises her brows. I don't see him. Oh, he's working, tells Heather as she flicks her hand towards the clock. He'll be home later tonight. Okay, that's a shame, tells Vera as she puts down her luggage by the door. What do we have to drink? She asks. Wine, gasps Heather. Great, cheers Vera as she heads towards the table to take a seat. Later that night, Seth returns home with keys in hand. Vera watches as he enters the lounge room and she feels a heartbeat inside of her chest. For a human being, he looks very attractive, but she keeps her attraction on her tongue and she offers a smile. Hi there, cheers Seth as he waves. Company has come, he mutters before his nose alerts him to the kitchen. I am hungry, he adds. Good luck finding food. We had an airplane once, she tells Vera as she giggles. The what? Asks Seth as he raises his brow. Airplane munchies, tells Heather before she giggles over her cup of wine. Not a plate to spare, asks Seth. No, tells Heather before she takes a sip of wine. There's wine left over, she adds. Wine, asks Seth as he grows a bead of anger inside of his temple. One plate of food would be nice, Heather, he mutters before he shakes his head. One, he steams, before he heads towards the kitchen to find some bread to munch on. Someone is mad, sings Vera. And she giggles. He'll be fine, tells Heather before she moves her attention to the television. One night of grilled cheese never hurt anyone, she adds. I really forgot to save the last serve, tells Vera as she raises her brows. That plate next to mine looked too appealing to waste. You are the guest. I will leave you to do whatever you wish, tells Heather before she begins to drink more wine until she feels groggy enough for bed. Vera rolls her eyes to Amber, who sits on the two-seater chair to the side of the guest room. I didn't know Heather couldn't hold her drink, she cheers. I didn't know she was going to throw up, tells Amber as she wipes a hand over her washed travel case. At least it was on the outside, I guess, tells Vera as she shrugs. Her and Seth look nice together. I liked it when he carried Heather out of the room, she adds, like a fairy tale where the prince chooses the princess. She was drunk, steams Amber as she knots her brows. Stoned drunk. We were popping pills for 1 second, mutters Vera under thoughtful lips. But they weren't anything but little tiny pills, she states. I couldn't even feel the difference. I didn't see you pop any pills, tells Amber as she pulls out a sheet from her travel case. You shouldn't do that, she adds. I couldn't help myself, shrugs Vera as she leans to one side. What do you think the wedding will be like? I don't know, traditional, tells Amber as she covers herself with a sheet. Aren't you invited, she asks. Of course, tells Vera as she shrugs, but it's too expensive. I might just leave it as a pre-wedding stayover. How much does it cost to attend a wedding, asks Amber. $800, tells Vera as she giggles. When I heard the amount, I said piss off inside of my head pretty loud. Couldn't you afford $800, asks Amber. Yes, but not for the wedding, gasps Vera as she shakes her head. Not for a wedding, it should be free. I wouldn't make it free, tells Amber as she shrugs. So would I, tells Vera. It's polite to pay for the guest, she adds. Traditional, even. I agree, tells Seth before he enters the room. Thank you both for your support for our wedding. Vera gulps and giggles. She had no idea Seth had been standing by the doorway. She would have closed it before deciding to gossip. It is too much to pay, mutters Vera as she crosses her arms. Too much, tells Seth as he shakes his head. You paid $600 each in plane tickets to get here without any issue. What is $800 more? Too much, states Vera. Too much, agrees Amber as she shakes her head. Seth gives Amber a stiff eye before he returns his attention to Vera. You can afford it, he draws in a tone that makes Vera's sweat glands begin to work. It's too much, comes Amber as she tries to stand firm against the debt. I earn only a small amount of money, tells Vera as she blinks at Seth. I can't and won't pay to attend a wedding for which I am not even a bridesmaid. It's worth it, tells Seth as he leans on his leg. Pay and have a ball. We will watch it on DVD, tells Vera as she smiles. But that wedding isn't a wedding on a DVD, tells Seth in argument. Come to the wedding. No, tells Vera as she shakes her head. Seth battles Vera's mind as he stands close to making eye contact. Vera shakes her head over and over again, and each time Seth's spine stiffens a little bit more. Amber grows a tingle down her spine as she looks at the shoulders and the head. She is sure Seth is to lose his temper, but instead he breaks pose after one more plea. Well then, I'll leave you two ladies alone, tells Seth before he heads towards the door. You are both annoying moochers, he mutters in clipped tone before he closes the door. Vera sucks her breath through her teeth and looks to Amber, who shrugs. The door slowly creaks over, and Seth looks to Amber as he steps inside one last time. Amber, are you comfortable on that couch? He inquires as he raises his brows. Are you sure you would not like a bed? Vera has that time of the month, mutters Amber before she giggles. We have a spare bed, tells Seth in quiet. Part 2. We have a spare bed, tells Seth in quiet tone. You can come with me, and I will show you where it is. Well, we were going to talk, tells Amber as she shrugs. Seth looks to Vera, who nods to Seth. in answer to his question left unsaid. Okay then, talk, tells Seth. Don't forget to add the discussion about going to our wedding, he reminds, before he closes the door. Amber giggles as Vera hisses. He is annoying. The way he looks makes my skin crawl, she says. You look like you're blushing, tells Amber, as she settles down onto the couch. Probably, tells Vera as she shrugs. I don't mind his look, it's his attitude that pisses me off, she states before she settles down onto the pillows. Sometimes it just gets on my nerves, she gasps. Well, he is gone now, tells Amber. What do you want to do, sleep or chat? I can chat for 10 minutes, then I'm sure to drop dead to sleep, tells Vera, before she pulls the blanket up under her chin. The next morning, Heather, Amber, Vera, and Seth have quiet breakfast. Seth broods as he keeps his eyes on his guests. However, Heather is more welcoming, and she brightens up the breakfast with light-hearted chat. After breakfast, Vera moves outside to offer herself a cigarette. Seth watches her slip outside, and he fast follows with ambition on top of his mind. So did you sleep well? Asks Seth as he approaches Vera, who has a cigarette inside of her mouth. Like a bomb, tells Vera as she lights a cigarette. I slept but didn't want to, tells Seth, as he leans on the wall beside Vera. Oh, asks Vera as she raises her brows. Why not? Because of you, tells Seth as he takes out a cigarette of his own to smoke. You insulted us, he mutters. Well, lucky we are only here for the weekend, tells Vera as she rolls her eyes. I can't afford the world, she adds. I understand, but you are Heather's best friend, tells Seth as he narrows his eyes. Can't you put down your dolls and come? No, tells Vera as she inhales a deep breath. I can't, Seth. Sorry. How can I persuade you? Asks Seth as he gives Vera the eye. Please, it will mean so much to us if you come, he adds. Vera narrows her eyes at the morning sun and then turns to see Seth. He looks to her as she stares at him, and he offers her a lucky smile, one which makes her want to take a shower to cool down from. I'll think about it, tells Vera as she shrugs. By tomorrow, I expect a yes, tells Seth before he takes his feet for a stroll. Vera rubs her hair as she sits inside of the house watching television. Amber looks lost as she stares at the midday soap opera, and Heather busies herself folding wedding cards. Vera is a little frustrated that Heather doesn't want to go anywhere, but she clips her tongue. Vera runs a reel of Seth inside of her mind as she looks at the television. At each reel, he asks her if she will go to the wedding. Vera shakes her head as she drinks wine by the cupful. What do you mean? Asks Vera all of a sudden. Amber and Heather are absent, and Vera blinks and startled as she sees the room once again. Where is everyone? She gasps as she gets up on her knees and forces herself to stand once again. Vera ambles through the house and spies Amber in the distance. She moves to walk towards her, but a window slams against her head, and Vera fumes as a laugh is heard behind her. Amber turns towards the window and waves before Seth closes the curtains to block out the sunlight. That should ease your blindness, tells Seth as he looks at Vera with slight disapproval, despite the thrill of amusement she has offered him. Who is blind? Asks Vera as she turns to Seth. I can see you just fine, she snorts. You are drunk, tells Seth as he shakes his head. Go to bed, he advises. I'm not drunk, mutters Vera as she moves to push Seth away. Seth catches Vera as she stumbles, and he rolls his eyes as he looks at her. You need to crash, he mutters. Vera looks at Seth and moves to smile, but she frowns instead of pushes him away once again. Seth stumbles back only a little as Vera moves to walk towards the door. Vera discovers the door is a closet door, and she bangs straight into a rack of shelves. Vera emerges from the closet with a bleeding nose, and then she collapses. Seth laughs as she crumbles to the floor, and then he waves his hand. Sleep wherever you want then, he adds. Your choice, he mutters before he goes to find Heather and Amber. In the garden, Heather shows Amber some pot plants that she wants to add to the wedding for good luck. Amber remarks that they are very pretty, however, Seth's lips crush upon her and Heather's cheeks in greeting, and they both jump to the side. Seth, tears Heather as she feels her heart jump inside of her chest. A hello would be nice, she mutters before she rubs her cheek. Amber rubs her cheek as well and moves a few steps further away from Seth. You have been abandoning your guest, tells Seth as he looks to Heather, who blushes over the attention. What do you mean, giggles Heather as she looks to Seth. Vera is drunk. He has crashed and hit her head pretty bad, tells Seth as he raises his brows. That is bad, gasps Heather as she grins. I'll go and see if she's okay, she tells before she moves away. Amber looks to Seth and then walks away. She raises her brows and thinks of following. Seth raises her brows and thinks of following her, but Heather's scream brings him back to the house, and he moves inside to see how Heather handles her distress. Amber walks around the garden and looks at the flower bed. She lost through a daydream before the sound of a car horn alerts her to the car veering up the driveway. Amber steps out of the way just before the car sails to park. I just almost witnessed a collision, gasps Amber as she places her hand against her chest. Brad steps out of the car and smiles to Amber, who stands with shivers running to her knees. Close one, eh? He asks before he moves for the front door. Amber blushes as she looks at Brad. Time has turned him into a fine young man, and she walks in tail over his shadow as he moves to inquire about his visit. Brad, however, has other things on his mind. As soon as he enters the house, he takes control. A broken nose, gasps Brad. Seth turns his attention to Brad as Heather smiles. Vera hurt her face, tells Heather as she looks at Vera, who has passed out on the floor. That looks bad, tells Brad as he leans over Vera's face. Better get your guest to the hospital, Seth, he cheers. Seth shrugs as he shakes his head. I don't really want to, he mutters before he clears his throat. She's heavy, he adds. Her face is bleeding, tells Brad as he wrinkles his nose. You are strong, get her to the hospital. Seth clears his throat as he measures his strength against Vera's weight. He nods and then bends to pick her up. It is a struggle, but he manages to get to his feet and walk towards the front door. Heather smiles to Brad and shakes her head. What are you doing here? She asks. I'm hungry for lunch, tells Brad as he picks Heather up inside of his arms. You are my meal, he tells. I'm glad, tells Heather as she runs her hand through Brad's hair. I was waiting for some excitement. Amber watches as Heather and Brad enter the large bedroom. She raises her brows and bites on her lips as the car steams down the street.